Hello, everybody. Welcome. It's so nice to see you back again today on K Live. This being our last show of the year, and we have some really great things in store for you today. Reporting with me is Thomas. Hello, Thomas.
Hi, Natalia.
Hi, where are you joining us from today?
I'm home at our home base, KIRCHHOFF Automotive home base in Iserlohn, my hometown.
Very nice. Always good to see you.
Yeah, and at the end of the stream, I will come up with a little question with a quiz and some information about our KIRCHHOFF Culture Life activities.
Very, very nice. So we also have on the chat today with us Chantel. Hello, Chantel.
Hi, I'm Chantel. I'll be tuning in from Canada, and I'm just helping out Natalia keep an eye on the chat. So if anyone has any questions or comments, please make sure that they're sent to everyone.
Awesome. All right. So over the past 2 weeks, both in Europe and Asia and in North America, we've had our leadership team meetings. These are important regional meetings where the members of our SLT leaders get together to discuss some important topics pertaining to our business. So last week, in the beautiful city of Wiesbaden in Germany, the Europe and Asia team got together for these meetings. And between yesterday and today, we've had the meetings in North America, and they have just wrapped up. So here in this video, you will see a few shots from the beautiful city of Wiesbaden, the hotel where the meetings took place. But due to some unforeseen circumstances with COVID in the state of Michigan, we needed to move the CANA meetings from the historical Royal Park Hotel in Rochester to online. So nevertheless, they presented some valuable information to our team from our CEO, our management team, the plant managers attended, corporate directors, and we've had the opportunity to have some really great open dialogue. So I'm going to start today with our first interview, our first segment with Wolfgang. Good afternoon to you, Wolfgang.
Good afternoon, Natalia, and good afternoon to North America.
Thank you. Thank you. It's very nice to see you. Thank you for joining us today and for your time for this interview. I'll be asking you a medley of questions, some that we've prepared, some that we've received from our employees, and hopefully some that we'll be getting on the chat from Chantel today. So you have now attended both LTM meetings over the past 2 weeks. What were your main impressions from the meetings here in North America?
Well, the main impressions here in North America were that we made a lot of progress here in our plan, so the performance could be improved, and where the performance was already outstanding, it could be maintained. So this is very important for us to build the future. And I had a lot of new launches that I got to know that were reported, and for sure new equipment coming into the plants, and so a lot of movement since we met the last time. Unfortunately, as well last year, only digital. So it's meanwhile 2 years ago that we could meet face to face, and I would have loved to meet in this beautiful hotel in Rochester, as you just mentioned. But anyway, we cannot choose how it is. And but coming back to your question, I saw a lot of new things going on. The team is doing a good job, and also what was presented out of R&D, out of new projects we are working on, whether it's cross car beams, it's B-pillars, it's Gen 3 steel. So a lot of innovations going on.
We thought after last year that it would be the end of COVID-19. We are now at the end of another year and still dealing with the pandemic and also some supply chain shortages that have been significant. Which year has been the worst for our company?
Yeah, unfortunately this year. So last year was already very, very tough. And first of all, if you remember, in springtime 2020, it was a big shock for all of us. And then facing months April and May with almost zero sales. So this never happened in history. So, but in the retrospective, well, okay, we had to drive down our operations in a controlled way, and then in May, June, we had to ramp up again and bring them at work again. So that was the difficult year 2020. So for sure, we thought that this will never happen again. Unfortunately, this year is even tougher, as especially our colleagues in the operations and our workforce knows, because of the tremendous trouble in the supply chains. And it's not only semiconductors, what you can read in the newspapers, it's also other commodities like steel or aluminum, magnesium coming up. By the way, without magnesium, there's no aluminum to be produced. Freight availability and freight costs. So all the supply chains are in big trouble. And that means for us, when our customers they shut down their plant, they open up again, they shut down, we are in a whatever on-off modus, and this is really a big trouble. And first of all, everyone who is really very brave and tough in the reactions in our operations, starting from every worker. For sure, to the leadership team and the senior leadership team. So thank you very much, because this year is really tough. And now in Europe, we are already in the middle of. We are facing, meanwhile, the fourth wave of COVID, of the COVID pandemic, and yeah, it is becoming even tougher. Hopefully, it won't be that tough in North America. Here in Europe, we are again facing products. The next lockdown is under discussion. Hopefully, this won't happen. And because of that, once again, you saw my appel a couple of weeks ago on KNet. Everyone who did not decide for a vaccination, please reconsider, go and see your doctor. The only way out and the only way to avoid problems for yourself, for your families, for your colleagues, is to get a vaccination. So yeah. So this year is trouble, and it is much more difficult than what we had to face last year. To come back to your question, Natalia.
Absolutely, we are all in this together, and the only way out is together as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. In your estimation, for how much longer do you think we'll be in crisis mode?
Well. The estimation is very difficult, but it is something in between estimation and a hope. Well, okay, there are some signals that the worst problems in the supply chains, they will be overcome in the second quarter. Next year, and then we will see a very strong business climate, not only in the automotive industry, in many other industries. So there will be a boom to follow, and we have to be prepared. Yeah, this also will be tough. And well, really, I hope that the COVID disease when it becomes springtime again, it gets warmer again, and hopefully the vaccination status is on a next level. That we have seen the worst part of it, but okay, it is a virus, and this changes and gets new variances, and so unfortunately, with this sort of a virus, we will have to live a little bit longer, but hopefully us as human beings, we can get it under control.
As our CEO, you give us direction, you give us confidence. How would you say, as a company, we could show our support for one another in emerging from this difficult situation?
Well, first of all, I ask you once again to decide on a vaccination, and yeah, we have to stay together as a team, and we had lots of good presentation during our LTM yesterday and today, and so we are working in lots of projects. In lots of future subjects we are working, beside of keeping our business going, getting new contracts, launching new projects, etc., etc. We have to take care about another things that will be decisive for the future, and just to name two. When we are talking about digitalization, and when we are talking about the huge efforts we will have to take in the decarbonization for the next 2 to 3 decades. So there are a lot of things to do, but we could get to know in our meetings that KIRCHHOFF Automotive is well prepared. We have clear roadmaps. We started clear processes and projects, and there are lots of examples you will read soon from time to time in the KNet and in the car mobile, that we are not more or less following these things or taking these things as a burden. We are also pretty much ahead with our company, with what we did so far, and this is what we want to do to bring the company in a fruitful future.
Great, thank you very much. I'm going to bring Jim and Josh into the conversation with us. Jim is our EVP of Operations for North America, and Josh, the EVP for Technical Development and Sales. Hi guys, nice to have you both.
Hello, Natalia.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm going to start with you, Jim. Jim, last month, most of the plants had the same situation where, although our production figures were good, the customers were suddenly calling us to hold delivery of the parts because of the missing semiconductors. How did we handle this?
Yeah, so as most of you know, the automotive supply chains, they're very complex, right? And throughout the year, typically what we see is frozen releases, which come from our customers, have been anything but that. So as a result, our plants have had to be extremely agile with a long-term view, particularly as it relates to the raw material components and to the materials that come from our suppliers. And so each and every day, each and every week, the plant materials teams, they continually evaluate our safety stock. In addition to that, they're evaluating the finished goods inventories, and they're making sure that these are at appropriate levels. And then while they're doing all of that, they're also having to deal with the workforce, because we want to try to flex that workforce to minimize our labor expense while we're going through all this, okay? So, bottom line is, most difficult part of this current environment that we're in, is to retain our employees, because, they're a little bit confused. They're kind of perplexed as to what we're seeing here as it relates to our customers, and then, whether or not we're working or we are working. So we've got to be very, very good in terms of our communications, okay? They've got to be consistent, they've got to be precise in order for our employees to make sure that they understand what's going on, you know, day to day, week to week.
Yeah, for sure. Do you expect supply chain issues in the coming year?
Yeah, I mean, so, you know, as previously mentioned, no doubt that the supply chain challenges, I think, are going to remain here into the future. You know, Wolfgang just mentioned maybe second quarter of next year, we might start to see some things start to, you know, ramp back up in an appropriate way. But it's clear that it's gonna be with us here for a bit, okay? And in fact, it was really interesting what Wolfgang said. You know, one of the things that we see as a big challenge for our business, is just getting fasteners in here from Taiwan. You know, we have several of our suppliers that supply us fasteners. They come out of Taiwan, and we're seeing several shipment delays, and then particularly as those ships near the ports in both Long Beach and in Los Angeles, California, they're now into that congestion that, you know, we've all been reading about or seeing and reading about. Okay, and I would tell you that we see that continuing because even when the ships do dock, there are labor shortages for those to be processed, you know, those goods to be processed. And then on top of that, we have trucking issues. You know, we're a lot of truck drivers short here in the U.S. So we're seeing some delays in terms of the movement of material from these docks or these ports, you know, to our plants. So I do believe that this is going to remain with us here into the future.
Okay. This year we saw great progress in the renewing of our presses in North America. How would you say this improvement is helping our competitiveness in the market?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, first of all of us here in manufacturing in operations in North America, we're very grateful, to the KIRCHHOFFs for investing in us here. We've had several of our press shops have been updated with brand new equipment. There's no question that this equipment runs much better, much faster. So the output is more. And what we're seeing here is that our part quality is also significantly better. And as a result, whenever we do have downtime, it's not near as tragic as what it used to be in the future. I should say in the past, in the past, what we used to deal with many of the older pieces of equipment, and we had downtime, we would have to actually move the dies out to some of the tool shops to be able to run the parts for us. So we'd have a significant amount of expense as a result of that. Well, now we're not seeing that. Now, you know, these new presses with the dies, they're running very well. We get tremendous output. The quality is up. And so we have, less expense as it relates to that. So no doubt that this is making us much more competitive, you know, in the body and white space for us.
Next year, we start production at our new plant in Atlanta. What are the benefits that you foresee that this new plant will bring to us with regards to our production strategy?
So it's clear that the biggest benefit is that we're a lot closer to our customers, particularly BMW and Daimler. So from that kind of a footprint standpoint, it just makes it much easier for them, and it also makes it easier for us. We also see there's some opportunity, particularly as it relates to Honda, where we might be able to pick up some new business in their plant that's located in Lincoln, Alabama. So there's so again, from a footprint standpoint, that's a significant benefit to us and to them. Okay, and so far, what we've been able to demonstrate, because we will launch the X296 program with Daimler in May of next year. We've had several plant visits from Daimler. They've seen a very seamless transition from our plant that we were going to build the parts in, which was Manchester, to our new plant in Atlanta, and they're so far very, very impressed with our team, with the facility, with the equipment, and they are very confident that we're going to have a very successful launch. So we're looking forward to it, into next year with the new plant in Atlanta.
Very nice. What do you see will be the main challenges for our plants in the coming year?
Well, there's no doubt that the supply chain year is going to be probably the single biggest thing that we're going to be dealing with here into the first quarter of next year. So that's going to remain a big challenge to us. In addition to that, as I mentioned earlier, the retention of the hourly workforce. I mean, it's very difficult. Again, Wolfgang mentioned this, the stop and start. It's really hard for them because they develop a routine like we all do, when it comes to our work life along with our personal life. And when you have this stop and start that's going on, it becomes very, very difficult for them. So from a communication standpoint, from our management teams to our people, again, it's going to have to be very precise. It's going to have to be consistent, and we're going to have to be very strategic in order to maintain, our people. Okay. And then, lastly, we've got to be very cognizant of the government, because they can come out at any time with mandates that say that, we must have, if we're not vaccinated, then they may, mandate that we take it on a weekly basis to make sure that, we're verifying that we don't have the COVID, right? That we don't have any positive cases coming into the plants. So again, we have to be very flexible as it relates to any kind of government mandates that might be coming down the pike. So that's pretty much what we see as the challenges coming at us here for next year.
I'm going to bring it over to you now, Josh. Our customers were unable to build the planned number of vehicles for this year due to the lack of semiconductors. Will we be able to make up for these losses in the number of sales for 2022?
Yeah, in 2022, Natalia, I don't think we'll be able to recover the lost volume, but I will tell you one of the other obstacles that the operations will face is when the customers are able to run their plants, they fully intend on running at full capacity. So we go into a contractual obligation with our customers where we have a minimum that we have to produce, and then we have to provide for a maximum number that they can produce. One of the challenges that we, the commercial team, need to work closely with Jim and the operations team is what happens when all of the customers come back all at once and want the most that we can possibly produce. That's going to put a lot of stress on our operations, and we as an entire team need to be cognizant of that and be very supportive when that happens.
We've maintained a large part of our business here in North America with GM. We would like to expand it with German and Japanese OEMs as well.
Sure.
Which core products could we get there with?
Yeah, our core products that we are operating in today still have a deeper penetration rate available to us. I can use one to build upon what Jim actually just said about our Honda customer for our Atlanta plant. There's 3 crosscar beams at Honda. We're Honda's core crosscar beam supplier, but there's still 3 crosscar beams in Honda that are made out of magnesium. Recently, Marty and Rajesh, with a really strong support from the product development team, have been providing opportunities for Honda to shift those back into steel versus the magnesium commodity. Wolfgang mentioned in one of his supply constraint concerns was magnesium. So again, another feather in the cap for a steel crosscar beam. But that would be an additional opportunity that we see out there that we could expand our current offerings to Honda, but then balance our customer cake is the nomenclature that we use to describe our share of customer sales per region.
Although Tesla is a pioneer of e-mobility in the market in North America, the demand for its electric vehicles is still much slower than it actually is in Europe and Asia. Could KAEA's continuously increasing portfolio of e-mobility be an advantage for us here in North America and our competitiveness?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the competitive disadvantages companies like us may have is we're built for high volume production. And most stamping companies are, to be transparent. It's not just a KIRCHHOFF automotive opportunity to improve. But as our teams in KAEA are learning to be more flexible with the 30,000, 50,000 unit upper structure platforms, that lessons learned will obviously come over to North America, and we will also be able to be as flexible and understand how to deal with those lower volumes at the start of production of the battery electric vehicle.
What's your overall outlook for the development of sales for us in North America in the coming years?
Yeah, right now we're very positive. As somebody mentioned, we were just in the leadership team meeting and we were reporting out what we did last year, where the North American team, and by team, I mean the entire team, not just the sales team, but the operations teams, the quality teams, the product development teams, all the teams surpassed the North American sales goal last year. Currently, we are only 10 million euros shy of our 2021 goal. And frankly, we fully expect to close that gap in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Looking into 2022, we have a very similar goal from a top line sales standpoint that we do today. So we're going to target that 130 million euro type of number for new product sales. But I will tell you, it's going to be difficult next year. We're going to have to fight hard. A lot of the companies that are out there are being overly aggressive, in my opinion, when it comes to pricing and tool costing and things like this, because they're scared of the next steps. They don't really know what's going to happen with semiconductors. So they're trying to book as much business, whether it's profitable or not right now. So we all have to work together in order to offer our best value. And then the sales teams need to do their job to create and show that value to the customer and get that overall contract.
Great. I'm going to bring Wolfgang back into the conversation here. We're going to move into the section where we had a Ask the Management opportunity leading up to our last K-Lab of the year. So we've received some questions from our employees. The first question is actually to you, Wolfgang. It's from our Corporate Quality Director, Gaurav Paliwal. He asks, there is a possibility that in 2022, car sales may not pick up even after the chip shortage is resolved, due to a lot of people wanting to buy electric vehicles in the next years. So conventional gasoline vehicle sales may stay low in 2022. And if that comes true, what backup plan do we have as a company to deal with the lower predicted volumes?
Okay, Gaurav, that's a complex question, but I will try to answer. Well, whether so many people decide on buying a battery electric vehicle probably is not very likely to come. First of all, if we see the worldwide markets, the most developed market in the moment for battery electric vehicles, it's China, then followed by Europe, and North America will come later. Okay, this, you are right, this process speeds up, but also to remember this, in China as well as in Europe, battery electric vehicles are highly incentivized. So without incentives, for example, 2 years ago, China took back the incentives and immediately the BEV sales dropped. So still now, also in Europe and in China, you have to stimulate BEV sales with incentives. Then the second question is which is hardly discussed in Germany and all over Europe, is the infrastructure. Without an infrastructure, it's difficult to switch to a battery electric vehicle. But anyway, even if this would come true, what you mentioned as a scenario, yeah, if then the conventional vehicle sales, they would drop heavily, okay, we would have to react and would have to adjust our costs. But to be honest, I do not really believe it. As I told in the opening questions, when the supply chain problems are solved, not only for semiconductors, especially also for other commodities, we are expecting a huge demand on cars because we are now almost for 2 years in this pandemic, and people saved some money, people did not travel, people did not spend other things. And once again, not only talking about cars or our industry. So I expect many other industries huge demand, and Josh just mentioned that it will be tough for us because all the customers will come and ask for maximum volumes, which yeah, to be honest, is not possible. But this is not a problem only for KIRCHHOFF Automotive. It's a problem in not only in the automotive industry, in many other industries.
Now we have a question for you, Wolfgang, and for you, Josh. It's from Sachin Becca. He's our Director of Product Development. We are seeing a growing trend on the use of aluminum in the industry, in particular 6000 series sheets and extrusions. Our recent quotes have shown that we are constantly getting outbid by our competitors and globally haven't been successful in this market. What is our global strategy to help bridge the gap between us and our competitor?
Josh, you want to start, or I should start?
Yeah, maybe Wolfgang, I'll give a local perspective from Kavanagh here. So locally, Shashin, thank you for asking that question. Yeah, 6000 series aluminum is gaining momentum in our market. That is for sure. Difficult material. I don't need to tell you. You're a lot more competent in that than I am. But in regards to our level of competitiveness, we're taking a strategic approach. We've identified a supplier in the Canadian market and an additional one in the Mexican market. And we're trying to take what I'm going to call a buyer-supplier strategic approach to market, where we are working directly with them even prior to the RFQs coming. We're working on a strategic project right now for one of our German OEMs down in the Puebla area, where they have some bumper parts. Our team went there, we visited, we met with the ownership of that company. And although there's not an equity exchange per se, there's a lot of shared knowledge that's going back and forth. And they're putting forth their best effort from a pricing standpoint. We are doing that as well, using some alternate financial measures that the shareholders and CXOs are allowing us to incorporate. So we're working hard. Joining is one of our core competencies, I will tell you. Joining being our welding. We can weld to aluminum just as good, if not better, than a lot of our competitors. So we have to use that competitive advantage in order to overcome some of the financial obstacles that particular material has in place here in North America.
Yeah, probably I can add a little bit to our global perspective, because this was also your question. It is now 5 years ago that in a strategic workshop, in a strategy workshop, we, including the North American SLT, we predicted that the demand of aluminum for many of our core products will increase. And by the way, this happened, and you can see it, what we have now in contract, and the aluminum content is year by year increasing. So that time we already decided, okay, we have to do something on the aluminum side, and since then we are meeting several times a year to bring forward our aluminum strategy, which at first means what do we have to prepare in product design and product development, and there we did lots of progress. Otherwise, we would not gain those contracts. But in special your question, how about sheet metal, or how about profiles, extrusions? For sure, we won't start to become a re-roller for aluminum sheets. This I can exclude. But in extrusions, to tell this in detail, we started to build up strategic partnerships, and we have some meanwhile in Europe and in Asia. And as Josh just mentioned, we are building up the same for North America. This is the first step. The second step is also investigating whether it is worth for us to go for an acquisition in this commodity. We started a project which in the moment is stopped because we could not find or identify targets which would have been interesting for us. But this process goes on. So if there's an opportunity that fits, we most probably will go for it. Until that, because this is an old experience in KIRCHHOFF Automotive, we will work with strategic partnerships, and sometimes it is even better, and you are faster, and you may be even more competitive if you work in strategic networks. I tell you an example of other hybrid designs we had for years in the plastic molding, hybrid structures. That means combination of steel and any plastics. So also plastics or the injection molding is also a very capital intensive technology, which if you have to bring it to the market, sometimes it's better to come together with a company that fits in a partnership or in a shop-in-shop solution. There are many things to be possible to realize, and then most probably you are even faster to the market. So there are different ways to come to Rome, or different ways to kill a cow, whatever, to kill a cat. We are definitely trying to get rid of this competitive advantage.
And one last question to both of you again. It's from Rich Fleischner from Troy, our engineering manager. As the automotive industry transitions from mainly internal combustion engines to battery-powered electric vehicles, what capital investments and/or products are we planning to allocate and provide to our customers to meet their needs?
Josh, you start, please.
Yep, no problem. So good question, Rich. So a couple of things. We've mentioned before the core competencies of the cross-car beam. We were very successful to win a battery electric vehicle cross-car beam for our largest customer here in North America, General Motors. And to be transparent, the first one that we took, we were a little bit nervous about, because we didn't understand the volumes. We didn't understand the complexity of the ramp curve that they wanted to follow. And since then, Ken Hagel, I'll probably get it a little bit wrong, but I think we're up to 7 versions of that cross-car beam, and the volumes could peak over 200,000 a year with that same base core design. So we're able to use our existing assets and our existing technology to offer our core products and expand them into those battery electric vehicles. So that's one example. Some of the new products, we've all talked about Gen 3 steels, very successful, trying to substitute hot stamping so we can use that material to replace hot stamping on some of the battery electric vehicles. And then we will focus on the customers that have the smaller battery tubs here in North America. Like what I'm talking about is like the hybrids. So something that fits in our current existing asset footprint would be our primary focus from the sales side at this point in time.
Yeah, probably I can add a little bit. The transformation to battery electric vehicle for KIRCHHOFF Automotive, it's not a risk, it's a chance. A chance that we already could realize. For example, an underbody protection shield for the Volkswagen MEB platform, which will be soon the largest battery electric vehicle platform in the world. In Iserlohn, we have the biggest contract in history now, where we have with one product aluminum, by the way, laser welded, one product, three different sizes. And only this one product is a sales volume of 45 million euros per year, which is 55 million bucks per year. So this is one example. The second example is that we could bring to the market new products in the crash management system. So there are two different ways we were discussing today, and Mark Fabiszek was presenting the two different crash management systems we have for battery electric vehicles. One is a very stiff design, and the other is a ductile design that allows a huge intrusion into the front section of the car, because there's no more an ICE, there's no more combustion engine. That means there is space to take kinematic energy. So by the way, this was really not only an eye catcher. Many customers came and wanted to see this new product, and even our competitors took photos like hell. So we are doing a lot of products already and developing a lot of products for battery electric vehicles, and especially and we started now 10 years ago with the so-called street scooter in Germany, to build up a structure for a battery electric vehicle, because the structure is different, because you have other load paths, and you have other loads anyway in a structure in the crash management systems, and we know how to deal with it, and I'm really once again I'm very much convinced that the transition of the drivetrain offers for KIRCHHOFF Automotive more chances than risks, definitely, and we see it already with new contracts we won.
Great, thank you very much. I'm going to turn it over to Chantal for a second. Chantal, do we have any questions for Wolfgang, Jim, and Josh on the chat?
So far, there's nothing in the chat.
No questions. Okay, awesome. Thank you guys very much for your time. Thank you for being available to participate with us today. Thank you also to everybody who submitted their questions. If we were not able to get through them live today, we will definitely make sure that they are answered to you via email. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for participating.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So now we're going to move on to the rest of our time together with Thomas and a little bit of culture.
Well, we got to hurry up. So Jana, please just start the PowerPoint presentation. I'm just here to briefly tell you about our KIRCHHOFF Culture Life activities. We planted almost 21,000 trees in the meantime in different locations in Europe. And we will bring this project to North America next year. I'm in contact with Jim and Josh for this, and in January we will plant this. Here you just get a few images. 1,785 trees in each of our locations will be planted. 1,785, KIRCHHOFF Automotive was founded, or the KIRCHHOFF business was founded here in Iserlohn in Germany. And so here you can see children taking part in these activities. These are pictures from Portugal. And we did it in Italy, in Hungary. These are pictures of Hungary. And sometimes 400 employees and their children took part in these tree planting events. As you can see here, a picture from Italy where we have Farid from KIRCHHOFF Ecotech. And this is a successful idea, because we will give this idea to other companies to do the same. These are beehives, as you can see. The children built these beehives to support the woods we are creating. Another big project we did is a photo calendar project. At Christmas time, in some of our plants in Germany, Hungary, and in the United States and Mexico, employees will receive a photo calendar, a large-sized photo calendar with photos taken all by our employees. In a year, they learned with a professional photographer how to take good pictures, landscape pictures, and the results are quite stunning. These were examples from Germany, from our plants in Attendorn, Hagen, and Iserlohn. The next pictures will show examples from the Ecotech companies in Osterholz-Scharmbeck in Germany, and also in Mainz, and in workers who work in Switzerland for Ecotech. And as you can see, these pictures are quite remarkable because people really learned over the year to take more dramatic pictures, change the angle of the pictures, change the day of time when they took the pictures, and they really learned, and the results, as I said, are quite remarkable. The last calendar here I'm showing is the next one we did in North America with actually a photographer who lives in North America, but he's from Iserlohn, but he lives for the last 20 years in Denver. And these pictures in North America are really stunning, I have to say. When you see the whole calendar, you really have the idea that these were professional photographers. And I'm showing just a few. We will send you a QR code later where you can see all the calendar month leaves. But here, just a few examples. And this one is stunning, I believe, and also this one, you know, almost these autumn colors. The last picture we're showing now, the first one who writes into the chat where that is, what the place is called, will win a little prize. Natalia will show in a second. So go ahead, write into the chat, where is this place? Where is this photo taken? No, first answer is wrong. Second answer is unfortunately also wrong. Let me see if we get some right ones. Funny enough, we had the same question last week here in Europe, and one person did know where it was. No, it's not the Alps. It is in America. It's, well, we're getting closer, still so far. And because the time has moved on so much, I will give you the answer very soon. It's not Banff, no, it's not Colorado Springs. It starts with an M, and whoever still knows it will win the little prize Natalia will show soon. No, it's not a mountain with an M like in Martha, or I don't know how you abbreviate it in America. M like, what is it? M like? The alphabet?
That sounds good. I know what you're saying, but I don't know.
It's not Montana. Okay, I will say the next letter in the word, so you still win. M-A, M-A-R, M-A-R-O, almost maroon belts. There it comes. The correct answer by Shit.
You have won a mug, Chai.
Great. This was good. Okay, so maroon belts, yeah, in Colorado. And again, people in North America will receive the calendar our employees created a little later than our employees here, because the printing is still going on, but you will receive the calendar, and it is a large, big format calendar. And I hope you like it as a little Christmas present from KIRCHHOFF Automotive, from KIRCHHOFF Culture Life. Beautiful. So I think we're done, Natalia. This was a long stream. And from my side, I say bye-bye. And thank you very much to all the colleagues who took part in it. And thank you very much to the CEOs and managing director for the great answers and the hope they give us all.
Absolutely. Thank you. Good to see you. Good to see you, Thomas. The piece of music that I'm going to present right now, I'm going to present it because Thomas is certainly biased by it. Since he's the one playing with his wife, Dale, I present to you Kaleidoscope, recorded at our warehouse in the plant in Craiova. Bye, everybody. Good to see you all. Thank you, everybody.
Natalia and Thomas, thank you very much. Thank you very much for this well-organized stream again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks to all. Bye-bye.